Consumers today are not really looking only at price. The whole movement is towards premiumization. Aesthetics is a very important feature. We understand the social fabric of rural India. In urban markets, we invest a lot in qualitative and quantitative research. Traditionally, a sewing machine was always positioned as a utility product. Why can't we position sewing as a hobby? We tied up with Mattel and we've launched a whole range of Barbie sewing machines.
Hello, and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series, a conversation where we get deep into minds of marketeers, senior marketeers across industries. We understand through these conversations on how to approach marketing and how their learnings could apply and could be relevant for marketeers of yesterday, marketeers of today, and tomorrow's marketeers. And while we do these series of conversations, we are extremely delighted to have Anju Munjal with us today. She is Senior Vice President at Usha International. And while the conversation progresses, we'll want to understand more of how she approaches marketing, the consumer, and the brand she's working for. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Saurabh. It's wonderful to be here and it's wonderful to be talking to you. And let's get on with the questions.
Superb. You've had a truly remarkable journey with Usha, right? You grew with the brand for over the last 3 decades and more, across 4, 37 years to be precise. Marketing then and marketing now has been very different. How do you think it has evolved?
Well, I agree with you that marketing has changed over the last 3.5 decades that I've been with Usha. And I would say that that many years ago, it was just crafting a message, which resonated with your consumer and pushing it down mainline media, which was television, press, and radio. And that was perhaps what we did. Today, with digital coming in, it's a lot more interactive. The whole interaction with consumers are a lot more aware. You can track their responses. You can reach them, like we were talking about a little while ago, in different geographies. You can reach them in different languages. You can, real time, you can sort of, get their responses. You can see if something is working, it's not working. You can tweak that real time and make those changes. So I would say that's a big shift in how marketing and communication is happening today. It's a lot more data driven, so that's a big change. But I would say the one thing that is constant and hasn't changed at all is the core of marketing, which is knowing your consumer and delivering value. Whether it was 3.5 decades ago or today, that core remains the same. The way you communicate it and the way things happen out there is different and it has changed, but that core hasn't changed.
Oh, wow. That is so insightful. You are also in a legacy organization. You guys have been around for a while. And very, very soon, you'll be crossing 100 years. So,
yes, we're 90 years. Yes, we're 90 years in that.
And, in this remarkable journey of 90 years of being with Usha and being Usha as a brand, consumers carry a certain image and a persona of the brand that communicates to them regularly. But at the same point of time, while you need to preserve that legacy, consumer expectations have also evolved, changed. Consumer themselves have changed and evolved. How do you manage that balance?
You see, firstly, let me tell you what legacy is all about. It's that emotional connect that a brand has with its consumers. It's that love. It's that relationship that you have built over the years. It's that trust. It's the value that you have, delivered to your consumer, which over the years has got associated with your brand. It's those little memories. I meet people who sort of write letters to me and say that, 50 years ago, in our grandfather's home, we had an Usha fan and it's still going. My grandmother used to use a Usha sewing machine and she's given it to my mother. So those beautiful stories about a legacy brand are really beautiful. And I think that's the trust and that's the love that consumers have for your brand. But what you need to do is to leverage that. You need to evolve with the consumer. You need to make changes to make your brand relevant. You cannot live in the past and say, okay, this is what I did, 50 years ago, and it's not going to work today. You have to innovate. You have to bring in new products. You have to bring in technology, and you have to move on with today's times. But at the same time, do not lose track of what your brand stands for. Build on what you have and use that as an asset rather than something that you don't want to showcase. So I would say innovate, change, bring in new products, bring in technology, bring in everything, but don't lose the core, what your brand really stands for. Build on that, because that's really something that has stood the test of time and it's been there for so many years. So don't be in a hurry to change that.
But while you'll be doing this, and I'm sure your consumers are very, very diverse in nature, like what we were chatting earlier, we were discussing how your consumer set, you do not have one target audience, and very rightly so, because you have a very diversified portfolio as an org.
Yeah.
While you do that, your consumers will be across the length and breadth of the country, right? They'll be distributed in urban centers, rural centers, tier 1, 2, 3, and beyond. While you do that, their expectations of the brand will be very different. And I'm sure it'll have its own sets of challenges, opportunities that you'd want to look at. I'm sure there'll be a lot of consumer insighting that you'll do around it. How do you manage that? What is it? Let's talk about it.
Okay, I think there are more opportunities and less of challenges. So firstly, let me tell you the insights that we have about rural markets. We run something like 35,000 Silai schools.
Sorry, 35,000?
35,000 Silai schools across the country, across the length and breadth of the country. We've trained something like 15 lakh women in sewing. So we understand the social fabric of rural India. At the same time, we are present in urban markets with high technology, innovative products, which is, straddles the whole segment from our fans to our sewing machines to our new age home appliances. So I would say the requirements are very different for rural markets. The requirements of an urban consumer are very different. The urban consumer is digitally savvy. He's very well informed. He's looking for aesthetics. He's looking for technology. He's looking for innovative products. The rural consumer is looking for, if I can use the word, slightly cheaper products. They're looking for value for money. They're looking for durability. They're looking for trust. I'm not saying urban consumer is not looking for trust, but it's the mainstay in rural markets. They're looking for good after-sales service, and more importantly, they're looking for their neighbors and their their mukhias to sort of endorse the product that they're buying. So, A, the product needs to be different for rural markets, completely different set of products. And B, the communication has to be completely different. And likewise in urban markets, we have to look at a completely different set of products and completely different channels of communication. That's with regard to products and communication. With regard to our brand Usha, I would admit that in urban markets, amongst the Gen Z, we're not seen as an Apple or a Samsung or something. So we know that we need to work towards that, and there's a lot of work which is going towards enhancing the image amongst that segment. But you step out 200 kilometers out of Delhi and you come to a slightly smaller, I can't call it a village, maybe a little beyond Meerut or something, and suddenly your brand is very aspirational. There people think it's, they're willing to pay an extra price. If you walk into any of the dealers in a smaller town, you'll find Usha products priced higher than a competitor because they're seen as aspirational. So it's really a dichotomy for us to be not so super premium in urban centers but very premium in rural markets. So that's the opportunity as well as the challenge which we are harnessing, and I think we're doing quite okay with that.
And what a beautiful problem to solve with with that entire dichotomy that exists within our.
I mean, you are premium in a very large part. After all, 40% of our population is engaged in agriculture, and I mean, I don't know whether I can call them, they are rural actually. So for them, your product is very aspirational. If their daughter gets married, or if there's whatever, it's a celebration in the family, there has to be an Usha product which is gifted. And it's not so in urban markets. So there's a lot of work that's going behind that, a lot of work to change that image in urban markets and to try and get it to, become a lot more modern and contemporary.
Let's speak about that work for a bit. And I'm sure it starts with consumer insighting. How does that process fit in understanding your consumers a lot better?
See, we spend a lot of energy trying to understand the changing consumer needs and aspirations, both in urban and in rural markets. Rural markets, like I told you, we have Salai School, so that's really what inputs and gives us all insights into rural markets and how they are changing. In urban markets, we invest a lot in qualitative and quantitative research. We try and understand the change, and we do it across geographies, across income categories, across different segments, because we have such a vast portfolio of products. So that gives us a lot of insights, both for product development as well as for communication. We also do, in urban markets, we do product placements in people's homes. We sort of observe products up close. We see how consumers are reacting with our products, how they are using our products. Sitting in our office, we might think that a particular USP is very important, and that is the one that has to be highlighted in communication. But when you go into people's homes, when you see them working with your product, you realize that there is something else which they find is more relevant and more important because it adds to their convenience. So that's how we understand consumer needs and the changing consumer needs, and we tailor make our communication to suit that.
Nice. Let me throw one more interesting nugget of what we do. Annually, HD Media would reach out to about 35,000 consumers of our products and services. We incite and we draw our consumer insights from 35,000 responses through a series of studies that we do across.
I think we need to collaborate.
Right? What a beautiful thing.
What a beautiful thing that's come out, because really it's, you have the platform and we have the problem. So I think we can find a solution. That's wonderful. That's really nice, Saurabh. I think we need to talk after this.
And during as well.
And during as well, yes, absolutely.
But, when you would be reaching out for this detailed UNA test, studies, consumer communication tests, I'm sure there'll be a lot of interesting communication stroke, product stroke, consumer insights that you would have discovered. Let's speak about a few that you think really break and...
Something that completely changed the way we, traditionally, a sewing machine was always positioned as a utility product.
Is it not?
No, it's not.
Wow.
So it was something that tailors used, or even in urban centers, women used to mend their clothes, or used it as a means of financial independence and things like that. So some years ago, we set up the Usha Haberdashery, which is a sewing haberdashery store in Mumbai. The primary objective of setting that up was to really provide a one-stop shop for sewing. People who came in would get their buttons and their laces and their trims and their sewing accessories and everything. And of course, we were also showcasing our high-end, automatic sewing machines. And what really started to happen was that people started to come in and they started to experiment with the sewing machines. They started to experiment with the embroideries that the machine could do. Gradually, they started bringing in, like a ordinary white shirt that they would buy from, I don't want to name the brand, from any of the big brands, and they would want to personalize it. So they would, sort of embroider a flower, then they would embroider a monogram. And gradually that whole concept grew and it became a creative hub. And we realized it became like a place where women started to think of sewing as a hobby. Children started coming in. Children, above the age of 15, started coming in, started experimenting with sewing machines, making little mobile covers and little wallets to give away to their friends. And they started having their birthday parties in the haberdashery. Instead of going across the road and having a burger and watching a movie, they started bringing their friends there to celebrate their birthdays, where each one of them was making a little knick-knack, embroidering it, stitching it on the machine. We have trainers there, teachers there who teach you how to do it. And they were doing this and exchanging with each other these little gifts that they would make for each other. Grandmothers started to come in and started to make little things for their grandchildren and things like that. And that's when we said that, hey, why can't we position sewing as a hobby? So that was an insight that completely changed the way we positioned us automatic machines, and we started using them as a means of creativity, as a means of older people to enhance their motor skills. You know, when you're concentrating on something and moving your hands and, your eyes and everything, it does a lot to sort of keep your motor skills going. So that was an insight that helped us completely think of sewing machines as, you know, something that enhances your hobby. That's something that we had never thought of. After that, we tied up with Mattel, and we've launched a whole range of Barbie sewing machines with Barbie decals, you know, which are gifted by parents to their daughters. So that was a very interesting insight, which completely changed the strategy for a product which for years was used as a traditional utility product.
And what a beautiful pivot it is, right? Because see, the amount of personal storytelling that comes by is unparalleled.
You know, we've started to now sell, we do these little DIY workshops there. We've started to sell those on Book My Show. You can book a workshop on Book My Show. You can come and do that there, as per your convenience. And taking a cue from that, we are taking to the next level. We are setting up a studio of fashion and craft. The first one's coming up in Mumbai. In fact, it's already sort of doing a test run in Mumbai and Chennai, where we are going one level up, and we're going to be teaching sewing online. You know, because I think that whole thing post-COVID, where people have started to do everything online, that and encouraged by the insights that we've got from this haberdashery store in Mumbai, we're going to be teaching sewing online and offline, where we're going to be teaching home accessories, fashion accessories, so you can make a career out of, creative sewing and things like that. So that's another project which is probably going to go live in a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like a month?
Like in a month.
Superb.
Yeah. So it's a lot happening around sewing, and a lot that has come out of these little insights of, consumer insights.
See, I would have spent about 20 years in a media industry.
Yeah.
You would have done 37 in a consumer durable industry.
Yes.
Let me tap onto that wealth of knowledge that you have. Tell me, what are, in a consumer durables as a category, what are the top factors that influence purchases, decisions when consumers come onto that?
Okay, so I would say, of course, it goes without saying that you need a brand reputation and you need that trust and things like that. So, and consumers are, aware, they are knowledgeable, they have they've sort of looked at all information on digital and stuff like that. So the one thing that I feel cheapest is not always the best. When you're choosing a consumer durable, cheapest is not the best, because consumers today are not really looking only at price. The whole movement is towards premiumization. It's happening in FMCGs, it's happening in all consumer durables. You're looking for value-added features, you're looking for technology, you're looking for aesthetics. That makes a very big difference today. You want your kitchen to look good. Men and women are sort of going in together, and it's cooking is another big hobby that's coming up. So not coming up, it's already there. So I would say, aesthetics is a very important feature. Then important aspect of, deciding which consumer durable you would buy. The other thing I would say is sustainable brands. Consumers are getting aware of climate change and what it's doing to, going to do to our next generation. It's here. It's not a problem that's going to come 100 years down the line. It's a problem that's here. So consumers are looking at, appliances or durables that help save electricity. They're even looking at sustainable packaging. So those are things that are important. They are, I would say, the other thing that they look at is, what digital influencers are saying. They get influenced by what's happening out there in the digital media, what people are saying about product categories, what the influencers that they follow, what do they have to say about products. So that's another aspect which influences consumer durable purchase. And I would say ease of availability. If I want to buy a consumer durable and I've decided that it's this brand, I'm not going to go 10 kilometers looking for your product. You jolly well be where I want to buy it. And ease of installation. I think those are the aspects which today are very important, other than, of course, brand and other than brand reputation and all that, which help determine which is the consumer durable you eventually buy. Because most of them are at parity. Everyone has one feature plus or minus. So there are a whole lot of other aspects which go into the final purchase, and I think some of them that I've just mentioned also play a very important role.
Thank you for teaching me a trick here. Tell me, and let me get this out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, I get this a lot. 20 years, 15 years in one org. Why is it that you have not changed? And now I meet you, 37 years in one org.
It's a lifetime.
How do you do this? What keeps you going?
Well, I think the ability to stay curious, the ability to not always think that I know it all. Okay, I've been here in this organization for 38 years. There's still so much out there to learn. There's so much out there to learn about the changing consumer. So much how we spoke about media and how media is changing. So much out there to learn about how media is evolving. So if you stay curious, it's never a dull moment, and there's just so much to learn. And I think more importantly, I think I learn a lot from the young lot that comes in. When it comes to AI or automation, I can't think like they do. They can teach me a lot. When, I'd like to know what are the apps that they are on. I like to know what they're doing on Instagram. I like to know what they're doing on TikTok. I like to know the brands they follow. I'd like to know the advertising they like. So those are the things which really open your mind, and then you realize that it's really, you bring in some value, but they bring in a lot as well. So if you stay curious and you are able to work with them, I think it's a learning that can never stop, and I think that keeps me going.
Anju, humility is dripping and it is all over in this room.
No. I honestly, I mean it, because really, I might think that, I know a lot about the brand, but I think they know a lot more than me. And they are the consumers of the future. If I can't relate with them, if I don't know what they are doing and what are the brands they're endorsing and what's working for them, then I think I have a very short horizon.
Wow. So 37, 38 years and
still learning. Yes, still learning and still hoping to stick around for some time.
Wow. And I'm sure it's going to be 37 more years.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that long, but let's see how long it is.
Yeah, fabulous. Tell me, Anju, when you, and of course, your humility is much appreciated.
Oh gosh.
But whenever these conversations would have happened,
yeah,
I'm sure these guys, when you were asking them and when you would have asked them, you would have gained a lot. But I want you to leave a certain piece of advice to young marketeers who are entering specifically in the space of marketing in legacy brands or brands that have been around for a while. What do you think they should do more of?
Okay, so like I said, I mean, legacy brands have a lot going for them. They have been built over the years. They have consumer trust. They have, the confidence of generations. So I would tell them that, don't come and change things immediately. Don't be in a hurry to say, look, I don't think this is going to work. Apple does it this way or Samsung does it that way. So just look at what your brand stands for, what are the positives that the brand has, and build on that. Don't try, I would say, and completely change things. Learn to understand the core of the brand and take that forward. I would also say that not every fad is worth following. There are so many, startups which look great and they fall by the wayside. So everything new, everything disruptive is not good. Sure, by all means, look at it, have an open mind, but look at what resonates with your brand rather than wanting to completely change it. I mean, keep in mind the fact that this is Usha. It stands for certain brand values. It cannot become a Samsung overnight. So look at what is it in the brand, what are the values of the brand that you can leverage for today's consumer and work accordingly. Don't be in a hurry to come and change everything. It's not going to work.
You also spoke of, Usha, the certain brand values, the way the brand speaks to its consumers. Tell me, let's get into some sort of a personification. How do you see brand Usha personified? Who's she? Can you paint a picture for all of us?
Okay, that's a question I'm asked very often, but I'm going to try and answer that. Well, to me, Usha is that warm, dependable woman in your life. She's equal parts traditional as well as a trailblazer. She has the wisdom of generations, and yet she's open to embracing change.
Wow.
I think that is Usha.
And why do I not follow a brand like that? That's
Yeah,
fabulous.
you should after this conversation.
And I'm going to take up suing as a habit as well.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, I'd be happy to give a demo here.
So next birthday party at your Bombay store.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that concept is coming to Delhi very soon. It's currently in Mumbai, so it's going to coming to Delhi very soon, and then Chennai. So I'm going to invite you. I'm going to
So
take
birthday
your
party
birthday.
there for sure.
Your birthday party is going to be there.
100%. Anju, thank you. The conversation today was insightful.
Yeah.
You were dense.
Yes.
And you know, with a lot of humility
Right.
and with a lot of grace, you explained what brand Usha stands for. And that, I'm sure, is a learning I'm going to take as an individual, as a marketer. What I also loved is that despite or while managing modernism with legacy is a perfect marriage. And that marriage has lasted 38 years.
Yes,
And it
yes.
is just
Hoping
round
it will continue for a couple of more
and
years.
it'll continue for, I'm sure, for a lot more years than a couple.
Yeah.
And you're going to do fabulous. And there's no reason why you're not going to rock the entire consumer durable space.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. It's really wonderful to have spoken to you. And I think I've learned a lot from you during this conversation and also offline. And I'm going to be in touch, definitely. It was really wonderful coming to your studio here and talking to you and talking about brand Usha. It was lovely.
Thank you for all your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anju, for this insightful conversation. We had such a wonderful time hosting you here for this conversation. I think it's going to be a beautiful lesson for marketeers at large to learn more about how to approach marketing. And for that, I have only thank you to give and a few gifts.